Hi everyone, welcome to the Zentangle Project Pack video series. This lesson is from Project Pack number 1. I have a little lesson / challenge for you all here, and I'm going to be working with the following tools. I have a few things from my project pack here. I have all 3 of the white Jelly Roll pens, the 05, 08, and the 10. I also have a white charcoal pencil and a tortillon. And I grabbed my graphite pencil. I'm going to use that as well today. It wasn't in the project pack, but if you have one, grab it, and we're going to play with that too. If you don't have these tools, that's fine. You're welcome to play along with us as well. So I am going to be playing or tangling on one of our black pre-strung Zendangle. All of you got a different one, which is kind of fun, and I think going to lead to some really cool results. So we're going to be playing with a tangle called striping here, and striping is pretty descriptive of the tangle as it is all about stripes. It's one of those tangles that seems so basic, but once you get into it, you can explore it and manipulate it and play with it, and I have a lot of fun with it, so I hope you will too. What I'm going to do is show you guys a couple pointers and a couple of different ways to shade striping, and then I'm going to send you on your way to explore your template or your string or whatever it is you have in front of you. So why don't you just follow along by just watching right now, and then you can start tangling on your piece after. I'm going to begin with my number 10 jelly roll here. It's a bold tip, so it's going to make a nice thick line. When I'm working on these Zendangles, what's great is you can kind of use the string as a suggestion, but not necessarily a demand. What I mean by that is you can either combine sections, you can leave sections blank, you can just do parts of sections, so each template can have endless possibilities. When I'm drawing striping, I like to add a little bit of curve to my stripe, and that makes even more suggestion of the contour shape. So I'm going to start right here and show you one way that one might put striping in this section. Maybe I'll zoom in for you. All right, and I'm going to begin up here in the point. It's going to make that my first stripe here. Okay, the starting point. And as I continue on, you're going to be able to see that subtle curve I was talking about. And I'm just going to nice and slow fill in those stripes. That nice thick gel ink. Again, that nice curve. I'm going to kind of play with the shape here, but continuing to watch these lines flow in a parallel way. So a couple things with striping. Don't worry about them having to be exact. I just like to have that nice contour shape. Leave yourself plenty of space in between. And when you go to do your next space, kind of look at it and decide how you want those curves to go so they don't blend into the other space. So I like to have a little bit of variety. So I'm going to start this one, I think, just like that last one. When you're playing with these templates, you may or may not want to play with symmetry. You can be random about it too, and that's totally fine. So don't feel like they have to match up perfectly. And you can decide that as you go along as well. See what happens. So I'm going to fill in a couple here with stripes, and then I'm going to show you some different ways to shade and a couple of different sort of tangulations of striping that you can play with. Okay, so I've added a few more series of striping here. I'm not gonna fill in the whole thing because I really just wanna give you guys a couple pointers and then send you on your way and see what you can do with your spaces in front of you. This will lead to some really cool varied results. So if you're the type that actually just enjoys the way this looks without the shading, then by all means just leave it because it is quite pretty, and that's totally fine. So if you're kind of liking what's going on here, then just leave it. That's totally fine. I am going to add a bunch of graphite and a bunch of white charcoal, but that's part of the tangling process that I really enjoy. So I'm going to show you some options, and then you can choose what you want to do. I'm going to use the white charcoal pencil and the graphite pencil with this particular approach. And then I'm also going to use my tortillon that is made for, or is labeled for, my white charcoal. Although I notice I've been using it a lot and it's starting to get a little dirty, but that's okay. And I don't really need one right now for my graphite pencil. If you have one, great, but I'm just gonna kind of use the pencil itself to blend. So I'm gonna start with the graphite, and I'm going to work with the edges to create a little bit of shadow on the edges of these shapes. Okay, so I'm gonna go right over the gel pen. You want to make sure your gel pen is dry before going over it with your pencil. So just make sure you leave a little time before you start adding layering. So as I said before, I'm sort of using the pencil itself to blend, which means I'm kind of going between really pressing hard and then also just kind of easing up a little bit. I think I'm going to add a little shadow down here. Kind of implies that that other shape maybe is going over it. Okay? So I'm going to do that to all 4 of these shapes. Okay, so I've added graphite to all my spaces here, and this really starts to give it a very sculptural look, I think, and I enjoy the sort of manipulating the spaces a little bit like that. Now we're going to pick up our magic wand, I mean white charcoal pencil. Sorry, I sometimes call this a magic wand because I love what it does. And I'm going to add some highlights. So I'm going to start by just simply looking at the shapes and sort of adding a highlight right up the middle here. So I'm going to go right up the middle, adding a pretty dark white line. And I'm going to go and do each one. And for this, I do like to use my tortillon, and I'm going to use that one that I put a W on. And just kind of lightly blend that white charcoal line. Not too much, just enough to soften it, and you really get this sort of fun highlight right up the middle. Oh my goodness, love that. So that is one way to shade the striping. I'm sure some of you have played with some other options, but what I want to do is just send you guys on your way to explore your template to see what you can do. And before I leave you, I'm going to show you a couple of different options. So here is this one template. Look how fun those are. Here is another one that I started on, and I just wanted to show you guys the difference where I started to add the shading to some of it. So you can see this is what it looked like beforehand, and this is what it looks like after. So that one's kind of fun. And obviously you could have used the same template and just kind of filled those spaces different to get a totally different result. Here's another one where I added just a dot in between the striping, so you can see just by adding a different type of detail, you get a different look. Here's another one where I took my fine jelly roll, my 05, and did a fine line sort of aura on either side of that stripe, and you get this kind of, again, another cool look. And here I have an apprentice tile that I just put a string on and also filled with striping, and I left this one without shading because I thought it had this really bold, kind of clean look to it. So that's another option. So have fun with this, enjoy striping, and share what you create because we'd love to see it.